The massive ship floated in the darkness of space like a metal city. Its hull stretched for miles, covered in weapons and armor that could destroy entire planets. Inside the ship, 12 different alien races sat around a large table. Their meeting would decide the fate of a small blue world called Earth. Commander Vextar stood at the front of the room. His 6 arms moved quickly as he spoke. His insect-like eyes scanned the faces of the other alien leaders. Each face showed anger and fear. "The humans are spreading too fast," Vextar said. His voice buzzed like a giant bee. 3 months ago, they had colonies on 2 planets. Now they have bases on 7 worlds. They are building warships faster than we can count them. Admiral Zorkus hissed from across the table. His lizard-like skin was bright green with red spots. Sharp teeth filled his mouth when he spoke. "I have watched these humans for 2 years. They are dangerous. Not because they are smart, not because they have good weapons. They are dangerous because they do not know when to stop fighting." The other aliens nodded. They had all seen the reports. Human soldiers would fight even when they were badly hurt. Human pilots would crash their ships into enemy targets rather than retreat. Human civilians would pick up weapons and join battles. They could not win. "Show them the videos," Zorka said. Vextar pressed a button. A large screen appeared in the center of the table. The aliens watched as human soldiers attacked a practice target. The soldiers ran straight at the enemy position. They did not hide. They did not try to find an easy way to win. They just ran forward and fought until the battle was over. "Look at this," Vextar said. He showed another video. This time, human ships were fighting in space. One human ship was damaged and could not move. Instead of asking for help, the ship flew directly into the enemy vessel. Both ships exploded. The aliens at the table made worried sounds. In all their years of war, they had never seen anything like this. "They call it sacrifice," said Dr. Melther. She was from a race that looked like tall, thin cats. "My scientists have studied human behavior for months. When humans fight, they are willing to die to help their friends win. This is not normal." "It is not logical," agreed Captain Jordan. "His people look like walking trees with many eyes. When my soldiers are hurt, they retreat to fight another day. When their weapons break, they surrender and wait for rescue. Humans do not do this. They fight with broken weapons. They fight when they are dying. They fight even when fighting means certain death." Vextar changed the video again. This time it showed a human city during a disaster. A building was on fire. Human firefighters ran into the burning building to save people trapped inside. Some of the firefighters did not come back out. They do this even when they are not at war, Vextar explained. They risk their lives to save strangers. They jump into dangerous water to rescue drowning people. They run toward explosions to help the wounded. This behavior makes no sense. Admiral Zorkus stood up. His tail swept behind him as he walked to the screen. "I have fought wars on 50 worlds. I have conquered races that were stronger than us. I have defeated enemies with better weapons and more ships. But I have never fought an enemy that wanted to die." "They do not want to die," Dr. Melther corrected. "They want to win. They are willing to die if it helps them win. There is a difference." "The difference does not matter," Zorkus replied. "The result is the same. They will not stop fighting until they are all dead. And before they die, they will kill as many of us as possible." The room fell silent. Each alien leader thought about what this meant. In normal wars, armies fought until one side was clearly losing. Then the losing side would surrender to save lives. Peace talks would begin. The stronger side would win without destroying everything, but humans did not seem to understand this system. Vextar showed more videos. Human children playing war games in their schools. The children pretended to be soldiers. They practiced fighting and hiding and working together. Even their games were about war. "They train their young for battle," Vextar said. "Not just their soldiers, all of them. They teach their children that fighting for their home is the most important thing they can do. Their entertainment is about war too, added Dr. Melther. Their movies, their books, their songs, they celebrate warriors who die in battle. They make heroes out of soldiers who sacrifice themselves for others. Captain Jordan's many eyes blinked slowly. Their whole culture is built around the idea of fighting to the death. Exactly, Vextar said. And now they are building space. Ships, they are colonizing other worlds. They are expanding into our territory. If we do not stop them now, they will spread across the galaxy like a disease. What do you suggest? Asked General Kixmore. She was from a race that looked like floating jellyfish. Her voice sounded like wind through caves. We destroy them, Zorka said simply, all of them. Before they become too strong to stop. The entire species? Dr. Melther looked shocked. That is genocide. We have rules against such things. The rules were made for normal species, Zarkis replied. Species that can be reasoned with. Species that will surrender when they are beaten. Humans are not normal. They are a threat to every living thing in the galaxy. Vextar nodded. I agree with Admiral Zorkis. We have studied human history. They have been fighting wars on their own planet for thousands of years. They fight over land, water, food, ideas, religion. They never stop fighting. Now they are bringing that violence to space. The alien leaders looked at each other. None of them wanted to destroy an entire species. But none of them wanted to face human expansion either. How many ships do we need? Asked General Kixmore. All of them, Vextar answered. Every ship from every member race. We attack with overwhelming force. We destroy their military bases first. Then their factories, then their cities. We do not give them time to organize a defense. And if some of them escape to their colonies? Dr. Melther asked. We hunt them down, Zorka said. Every last one. We cannot leave any humans alive. If even a few survive, they will rebuild and come looking for revenge. The vote was quick. 11 races agreed to the attack. Only Dr. Melther voted against it. She still believed that peaceful contact was possible. You are making a mistake, she warned. You are assuming that violence is the only answer. Maybe humans can be reasoned with. We tried reasoning, Vextar said. We sent peaceful messages to their leaders 6 months ago. We offered to share technology and resources. Do you know what they did? Dr. Melther shook her head. They built more weapons, Vextar continued. They increased their military spending. They started training more soldiers. They treated our peaceful message as a threat. Because they have learned that the universe is dangerous, Dr. Melther said. Maybe if we try harder to show them we mean no harm. There is no time, Admiral. Zorkis interrupted. Every day they grow stronger. Every day they spread further. We attack now, or we face them later when they are ready for us. The decision was made. The largest fleet in galactic history would assemble at the edge of human space. 2,000 ships carrying the best warriors from 12 different worlds. It would be the shortest war in history. None of the aliens realized they were about to learn why every species that had ever attacked Earth had never lived to tell about it. The morning started like any other day on Earth. People went to work, children went to school, and farmers tended their crops. Nobody knew that 2,000 alien warships were moving toward their planet at incredible speed. Colonel Jake Harrison sat in his office at the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Colorado. He was drinking his 3rd cup of coffee when Lieutenant Amy Carter burst through his door. Her face was pale and her hands shook as she held a datapad. Sir, you need to see this right now, Amy said. Her voice cracked with fear. Jake took the pad and looked at the readings. His coffee cup fell from his other hand and shattered on the floor. The numbers on the screen were impossible. Hundreds of objects were approaching the solar system. They were too big to be asteroids and moving too fast to be natural. How long have you been tracking these? Jake asked. 12 hours, sir. I thought it was a computer error at first. But I've checked everything 3 times. These objects are artificial. They're ships, sir. Lots of them. Jake stood up quickly. His chair rolled backward and hit the wall. Get me President Morgan on the secure line, now. While Amy worked on the communication, Jake stared out his window at the peaceful Colorado mountains. In a few hours, everything might change forever. President Lisa Morgan was in a meeting with her economic advisors when her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and frowned. Colonel Harrison only called on the secure line when something was very wrong. "What is it, Jake?" she asked. "Madam President, we have a situation. A big one. You need to get to the situation room immediately." "I'm sending you the data now," Lisa looked at her advisors. "Gentlemen, we'll have to continue this later. Something urgent has come up." 20 minutes later, Lisa sat in the underground situation room beneath the White House. General Pete Collins, head of the United Earth Defense Force, sat across from her. His weathered face looked grim as he studied the same data that Jake had sent. "How many ships are we talking about?" Lisa asked. "At least 2,000, Madam President, possibly more. They're still too far away to get exact numbers." "Could they be friendly?" General Collins shook his head. "Military formations don't usually indicate peaceful intentions. These ships are arranged in attack groups. Classic invasion pattern." Before Lisa could respond, every screen in the room lit up with an incoming message. The face that appeared was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Commander Vexstar's insect features filled the screens. His compound eyes seemed to look directly at each person in the room. "People of Earth," Vexstar began. His voice was translated into English by his ship's computer. "I am Commander Vexstar of the Zephyrian Confederation. We have been watching your species for some time. You have become a threat to the peace and stability of this galaxy." Lisa felt her heart racing. She grabbed General Collins' arm. "Are we recording this?" "Yes, ma'am. It's being broadcast on every communication channel." "On Earth," Vexstar continued speaking, "your rapid expansion into space cannot be allowed to continue. Your violent nature makes you dangerous to all civilized species. We offer you one chance to avoid destruction. Surrender your weapons, dismantle your space colonies, submit to Confederation control. You have 24 hours to decide." The message ended. The screens went black. Lisa stared at the empty screens. Around the world, billions of people had just heard the same message. She could imagine the panic starting in every major city. "Options?" she asked. General Collins pulled up tactical displays. "Not good, ma'am. Their technology is clearly superior to ours. Our best estimates suggest their weapons could destroy our entire nuclear arsenal before we could launch it." "What about negotiations? Did that sound like a negotiation to you?" "They're demanding complete surrender?" Lisa stood up and walked to a window that showed the White House lawn above. Children were playing with their parents, completely unaware of what was happening. "Get me the other world leaders. Emergency session in 1 hour." Captain Ben Taylor commanded the Defense Station Orbital Guardian, which orbited Earth at 22,000 miles above the surface. His station was designed to coordinate Earth space defenses and serve as an early warning system. Now he watched his screens as alien scout ships entered the solar system. The scouts were small but fast. They moved between planets like dolphins swimming through water. "Captain," called Lieutenant Roy Johnson from his station, "the scouts are scanning our defense satellites. Can we stop them?" "Not without starting a war, sir." Ben watched as the alien scouts easily disabled 3 of Earth's most advanced defense satellites. The aliens didn't destroy them. They just turned them off. It was like watching someone flip a light switch. "Sir," Roy said, his voice tense, "I'm picking up alien communications. Short range, between their ships. Can you translate any of it? The computer is trying. It's very basic, but I think they're confused about something." "Confused about what?" Roy listened to his headphones and watched the translation software work. "They're having trouble understanding our military organization. They keep asking each other where our main army is located." Ben frowned. "What do you mean?" "It sounds like they expected to find one big military force. Like all our soldiers would be in one place. They're scanning population centers and asking why our civilians aren't evacuating." Dr. Helen Price sat in her laboratory at the Xenobiology Institute in California. She had spent her career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that aliens had actually made contact, she wished she had been wrong about their existence. Her phone rang constantly. News reporters, government officials, and scientists from around the world all wanted her opinion on the alien message. But Helen was more interested in what the aliens hadn't said. "They called us violent," she said to her research partner, Dr. Frank Stone, "but they're the ones threatening to destroy us." "Maybe they see something we don't," Frank replied. "Maybe, from their perspective, we really are dangerous." Helen pulled up files on human military history. "Frank, look at this. Every time in human history when we've been threatened with extinction, what do? We fight back." "Exactly. We don't surrender, we don't run away, we fight, even when we can't win." Frank looked at the files. Human wars throughout history showed the same pattern. When humans were cornered, they became more dangerous, not less. "You think that's what scares them?" Frank asked. "I think they've never encountered a species like us before. Most intelligent races probably surrender when they're clearly outmatched. It's logical, it saves lives. But humans aren't logical when it comes to survival. No, we're not. We're emotional. We get angry, we get stubborn. And when someone threatens our families, our homes, our way of life, we don't calculate odds. We just fight." Meanwhile, in space, Lieutenant Commander Roy Johnson had been working on the alien communications for hours. His translation software was getting better at understanding their language. What he heard made his blood run cold. The aliens were discussing human population centers like they were military targets. They talked about destroying cities full of innocent people. They seemed to think that killing millions of humans would somehow make the survivors surrender. Roy had grown up reading history books about World War II. He knew what happened when enemies threatened to destroy American cities. Americans didn't surrender. They got angry. He called Captain Taylor. "Sir, you need to hear this." Then listen to the translated alien communications. The aliens were making plans to attack major cities around the world. New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing. They plan to destroy them all at the same time. "They think we'll surrender if they kill enough of us," Roy said. Ben shook his head. "They don't understand us at all. No, sir, they don't." On the alien flagship, Commander Vexstar studied the reports from his scouts. His insect brain was having trouble processing what he was seeing. Human military forces were scattered across the planet. Instead of gathering in defensive positions, they seemed to be spreading out even more. "This makes no sense," he said to his intelligence officer. "When we threaten most species, they gather their forces to protect their government centers. Humans are doing the opposite. Perhaps they are abandoning their leadership?" The officer suggested. "No, our scans show their leaders are still in their government buildings. But their armies are moving to thousands of different locations." Admiral Zorkis joined the conversation. "What about their civilian population? Are they evacuating their cities?" "No, Admiral. If anything, more humans are gathering in the cities. They seem to be organizing themselves." Vexstar's compound eyes focused on the tactical display. Every hour, the human response became more confusing. Instead of preparing to surrender, they seemed to be preparing for war. "Send another message," Vexstar ordered. "Tell them we are serious. Tell them we will destroy their cities if they do not surrender." The second alien message was broadcast 12 hours after the first. This time, Vexstar's tone was more threatening. "People of Earth, you have 12 hours remaining. We have observed your military preparations. You cannot win. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your ships cannot match our speed. Surrender now or watch your cities burn." President Lisa Morgan sat with her emergency cabinet. Every face around the table showed the same determination. They had spent the day coordinating with world leaders, military commanders, and civilian organizations. The alien attack began at exactly 12 noon, Earth time. 2,000 warships dropped out of hyperspace around the planet like a metal storm. Their weapons lit up the darkness of space as they fired on military bases, communication centers, and major cities. Commander Vexstar watched from his flagship as the first wave of attacks hit their targets. Explosions bloomed across Earth's surface like deadly flowers. Military installations disappeared in bright flashes. Satellite networks went silent. The initial assault was going exactly as planned. "Damage report," Vexstar commanded. "Primary targets eliminated," his weapons officer reported. "Earth's main space defense platforms are destroyed. Their communication grid is severely damaged. First wave objectives achieved." Vexstar felt satisfied. This was how conquests usually went. Overwhelming force, quick victory, followed by surrender negotiations. He expected to receive a surrender message from the human leaders within the hour. But something was wrong. His tactical officer looked confused as he studied the scanner readings. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual activity across the planet's surface." "What kind of activity?" "Military movement, sir. But not what we expected. Instead of retreating or gathering in defensive positions, human forces are spreading out. They're moving toward our landing zones." Vexstar frowned. His compound eyes focused on the tactical display. Red dots, representing human military units, were indeed moving toward the areas where his ground forces were preparing to land. "Perhaps they are coming to surrender," Vexstar suggested. "I don't think so, sir. They're bringing weapons." Captain Susan Walsh pulled her fighter jet into a steep climb as alien aircraft filled the sky above Los Angeles. Her squadron of 12 planes was all that remained of the Western Defense Force. The aliens had destroyed 3 air bases in the first 10 minutes of their attack. "Dragon Leader to Dragon Squadron," Susan called over her radio. "We're outnumbered about 50 to 1. Our missiles probably won't penetrate their shields." "Any suggestions?" "Ram them," came the reply from Lieutenant Danny Rogers. "If we can't shoot them down, we'll crash into them." Susan felt a chill run down her spine. Danny was right. Their conventional weapons were useless against alien technology. But a fighter jet traveling at 600 miles per hour could still do damage, even to an alien ship. "Dragon Squadron, you heard the man. If your missiles don't work, use your plane as a missile. For Earth." "For Earth," 12 voices replied. The squadron dove toward the alien fighters. Susan fired her missiles first, watching them explode harmlessly against the alien shields. Then she aimed her plane directly at the nearest enemy craft. The alien pilot, used to conventional tactics, didn't expect the human to sacrifice her own life. Susan's fighter smashed through the alien's cockpit at full speed. Both aircraft exploded in a ball of fire. Around the world, similar scenes played out. Human pilots, soldiers, and civilians were discovering that their enemies had superior technology but no understanding of human. Determination. Sergeant Tony Rivera crouched behind the ruins of a gas station in downtown Phoenix. His unit of 20 soldiers had been cut off from their base when the aliens landed. Most military commanders would have ordered a retreat to regroup with larger forces, but Tony wasn't most commanders. He was a street kid from the south side of Chicago who had joined the army to see the world. Now the world was being invaded, and he was mad about it. "Listen up," he told his soldiers. "We can't match their weapons. We can't match their armor. But we know these streets better than they do." Private Kevin Stone, barely 19 years old, looked scared but determined. "What's the plan, Sarge?" "We're going to show these aliens what guerrilla warfare looks like. We hit them fast, hit them hard, and then disappear. We make them afraid to walk down our streets." The alien ground forces expected to face organized human military units in open combat. Instead, they found themselves fighting shadows. Humans would attack from abandoned buildings, underground tunnels, and rooftops. They would strike quickly and then vanish before the aliens could respond. One alien patrol was moving through downtown Denver when suddenly shop windows exploded outward. Human civilians, armed with hunting rifles and improvised explosives, opened fire from inside the buildings. The aliens returned fire, destroying the storefronts, but the humans had already escaped through back doors and sewers. "This is not how warfare is supposed to work," complained Captain Zifkar, an alien field commander. He was reporting to his superiors from the middle of what used to be Kansas City. "The humans do not fight like soldiers. They fight like criminals. Explain, came the reply from the command ship. They do not wear uniforms. They do not form battle lines. They hide among their own civilians. When we attack a building full of human soldiers, we discover it is also full of human children and elderly, but the children are helping the soldiers. The elderly are making weapons. Commander Vextar received similar reports from dozens of cities around the world. Human resistance was not organized like a normal military. It was organic, growing from the civilian population itself. In New York City, Police Chief Maria Santos had organized her officers to work with the National Guard, but she had also armed thousands of civilian volunteers. Construction workers used their heavy machinery to build barriers. Taxi drivers carried ammunition and supplies to fighting positions. Even children served as messengers and lookouts. We're not just fighting their army, Maria told her officers. We're fighting their entire society. The aliens were learning the same lesson. When they attacked a human military position, civilian reinforcements would appear from nowhere. When they tried to control a city block, residents would emerge from basements and attack them with kitchen knives and baseball bats. Major Lisa Brooks was supposed to be coordinating civilian evacuations from Seattle. Instead, she found herself organizing civilians into support networks for the military. Retired veterans came out of nursing homes carrying their old rifles. Teenagers too young to serve officially became unofficial scouts and saboteurs. Ma'am, said her aide, Lieutenant Bob Carter, we're getting reports that civilians are refusing to evacuate. They want to stay and fight. Lisa looked out at the city she was trying to save. Smoke rose from several districts where the fighting was heaviest, but in other areas, normal life continued. People were still going to work, children were still going to school, and families were still having dinner together. They're not staying to fight, Lisa realized. They're fighting to stay. This is their home. The distinction was important. The aliens expected humans to choose between fighting and surviving. They didn't understand that for humans, fighting was surviving. Private Kevin Stone found himself separated from his unit during a street battle in Phoenix. He was alone, wounded, and surrounded by alien soldiers. His rifle was empty and his radio was broken. Any logical person would surrender. Any smart person would hide and wait for rescue. But Kevin wasn't thinking logically or smartly. He was thinking like a human. He pulled the pins from his last 2 grenades, held them tightly, and ran toward the alien patrol. The aliens were so surprised by this suicidal attack that they didn't fire until Kevin was right next to them. The explosion killed Kevin and 4 alien soldiers. It also taught the surviving aliens something important about humans. They would rather die fighting than live as prisoners. Admiral Zorkis reviewed the battle reports with growing concern. His forces had superior weapons, better armor, and more ships. They were winning every major engagement. But they were also taking heavy casualties from an enemy that should have been helpless. Status report, he demanded. We control most major cities, his aide reported. But we control them only during the day. At night, human resistance fighters emerge from hiding. They attack our patrols, sabotage our equipment, and then disappear. What about the human military? Defeated in conventional battles. But instead of surrendering, they have broken into small groups and joined the civilian resistance. We are not fighting an army anymore. We are fighting an entire population. Zorka studied the casualty reports. In just 3 days of fighting, his forces had lost more soldiers than in their previous 10 conquests combined. And the human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. How is this possible? He asked. We have destroyed their governments, their military bases, their communication systems. How can they still coordinate resistance? They are not coordinating from above, his intelligence officer explained. Each human community is organizing its own resistance. They do not need orders from their leaders. They are fighting because they choose to fight. Dr. Nora Hayes sat in the detention center aboard the alien flagship. She had been captured during the first day of the invasion while trying to evacuate patients from a hospital in Chicago. The aliens wanted to question her about human psychology and behavior. Why do your people not surrender? asked Dr. Veltara, an alien scientist who looked like a tall, thin cat. Your military is defeated. Your leaders are in hiding. Your cities are occupied. Continued resistance only leads to more death. Nora looked at her captor with sad eyes. You don't understand us at all, do you? We understand that you are illogical. You fight battles you cannot win. You sacrifice your lives for no purpose. We sacrifice our lives for every purpose, Nora corrected. For 2 weeks into the invasion, Commander Vexstar realized he was fighting a war unlike any in galactic history. His forces controlled Earth's major cities, but they controlled them the way someone might control a fire by standing in the middle of it. The humans were everywhere, and they were getting more dangerous every day. Private Kevin Stone had been trapped in the rubble of a collapsed shopping mall in Detroit for 6 hours. Alien search teams were getting closer, and he could hear their strange clicking language as they hunted for survivors. His leg was broken, his rifle was empty, and he had no way to call for help. Most soldiers would wait quietly and hope the enemy would pass by. Kevin had a different plan. He had found a gas leak in the ruins and collected several bottles of cleaning chemicals from a destroyed store. The combination would make a powerful explosive. When the alien patrol finally found him, Kevin smiled and held up the improvised bomb. Welcome to Earth, he said. The explosion brought down what was left of the mall. Kevin died instantly, but he took 12 alien soldiers with him. The blast also created a signal that human resistance fighters had been waiting for. Within an hour, they launched coordinated attacks on 3 alien positions in the city. This pattern was happening everywhere. Humans would sacrifice themselves to inflict casualties on alien forces, but their deaths were not random or wasteful. Each sacrifice was part of a larger strategy. The aliens were starting to understand that human military thinking was completely different from their own. Most species fought to win battles. Humans fought to make the enemy pay the highest possible price for their victory. Sergeant Tony Rivera had been leading hit-and-run attacks in Phoenix for 2 weeks. His original unit of 20 soldiers had grown to over 200 fighters, including civilians who had never held a weapon before the invasion. Listen carefully, Tony told his fighters during a meeting in an abandoned subway tunnel. We're not trying to defeat their army. That's impossible. We're trying to make them want to leave. How do we do that, Sarge? Asked Maria Gonzalez, schoolteacher who had joined the resistance after aliens destroyed her classroom. We make staying here too expensive. Every alien soldier we kill has to be replaced. Every vehicle we destroy has to be rebuilt. Every day they stay here costs them more than they're willing to pay. Tony's strategy was working. Alien patrols that once moved freely through the city now traveled in large groups and only during daylight. They had stopped trying to search buildings because too many search teams never came back, but the cost to Phoenix was enormous. Half the city was in ruins. Thousands of people were dead. Food and medical supplies were running low. Yet the resistance was growing stronger every day. Captain Susan Walsh had been shot down on the 3rd day of the invasion. Her left arm was in a makeshift sling, and she walked with a limp from her injured leg. But she was still fighting. She had joined a group of survivors hiding in the mountains outside Los Angeles. The group included soldiers, police officers, firefighters, and civilians. They all had one thing in common: they refused to surrender. "Ma'am," said former taxi driver Joe Martinez, "the aliens are offering safe passage to anyone who turns themselves in. They're broadcasting the message on every frequency." Susan looked at the faces around her. Dirty, tired, hungry people who had lost everything but still refused to give up. "What do you think, Joe? Should we surrender?" Joe spat on the ground. "My grandfather fought in World War II. He always told me that freedom isn't free. I'm not about to sell mine to some bug-eyed monsters." The others nodded in agreement. These were not professional soldiers or trained warriors. They were ordinary people who had decided that some things were worth dying for. On the alien flagship, Dr. Veltara was preparing her report on human psychology. What she had learned disturbed her deeply. "The humans have a concept they call honor," she explained to Commander Vexstar. It is more important to them than survival. They believe that dying for their beliefs is better than living without them. Vexstar S. Compound Eyes studied the report. This is madness. No rational species would choose death over life. But that is exactly what makes them so dangerous, Dr. Veltara continued. They are not rational, they are emotional. When you threaten them, they do not calculate their chances of survival. They become angry and fight harder. How is this possible? How did such a species survive long enough to develop space travel? Dr. Veltara pulled up files on human history. They have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Every generation has faced wars, disasters, and threats to their survival. They have evolved to see conflict as normal and peace as temporary. Vexstar looked at the historical data. Humans had fought wars over territory, resources, religion, politics, and ideology. They had developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans. Their entire culture was built around the assumption that they would always have enemies. Their children's games are about war, Dr. Veltara pointed out. Their entertainment celebrates violence. Their heroes are warriors who died in battle. They have trained their entire species to be soldiers. But why? Vexstar asked. Why would any species do this to itself? Because it works, Dr. Veltara said simply. Humans are the most successful predator species in their planet's history. They have conquered every environment on Earth. They have eliminated or domesticated every other large animal. They have spread across their entire world in just a few thousand years. Vexstar felt a chill of understanding. Humans were not just willing to fight. They were designed to fight. Their entire evolutionary history had prepared them for this moment. Admiral Zorkis was having similar realizations as he reviewed casualty reports. His forces had lost over 30,000 soldiers in 2 weeks. In most conquests, such losses would be considered catastrophic. The enemy would have surrendered long ago, but humans were not surrendering. If anything, they were fighting more. Effectively, as time went on, they were learning alien tactics, adapting to new situations, and finding weaknesses in alien technology. Sir, reported his intelligence officer, we've intercepted human communications. They're sharing information about our equipment and tactics across their entire resistance network. How are they communicating? We destroyed their satellite networks. Radio, sir. Very basic technology. They're using amateur radio operators, emergency services frequencies, and even children's walkie-talkies. Their communication network is actually more robust now than it was before the invasion. Zorkis realized that the aliens had made a crucial error. They had destroyed the complex, centralized systems that humans used for normal communication. But humans had fallen back on simpler, more distributed methods that were much harder to disrupt. What about their supply lines? Also adapting, sir. They're manufacturing weapons and ammunition in small workshops hidden throughout their cities. Every human settlement has become a weapons factory. Zorkis studied the tactical display. Instead of the neat, organized resistance they had expected, humans had created a chaotic network of fighters that was impossible to map or predict. Dr. Nora Hayes continued her conversations with Dr. Veltara in the Alien Detention Center. The alien scientist was desperate to understand human behavior, hoping it would help end the war. Your people are dying for nothing, Dr. Veltara said. We offer them safety, food, shelter. All they have to do is stop fighting and give up their freedom, Nora replied. You're asking them to become your pets. Is freedom worth mass suicide? Nora looked at her captor with sad eyes. Let me ask you something. If another species invaded your world and demanded that you abandon your culture, your beliefs, your way of life, would you surrender? If the alternative was extinction, yes, survival is the most important thing. No, Nora said. Firmly, survival is the most basic thing. Humans need more than just survival. We need purpose, dignity, hope. You're offering us survival without any of the things that make survival worthwhile. Dr. Veltara struggled to understand this concept. Her species had survived by being adaptable, compromising when necessary, and avoiding unnecessary conflicts. The idea of choosing death over accommodation was completely foreign to them, but surely some humans are willing to surrender? She asked. Some are, Nora admitted, but not many. And the ones who fight will never accept the ones who surrender. You're not just fighting our military. You're fighting our culture. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Chicago, Lieutenant Colonel Jake Harrison had established a command center in the basement of a destroyed office building. He was coordinating resistance activities across the Midwest using a network of ham radio operators. Status report, Jake called to his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Carter. Resistance groups are active in every major city, Amy reported. Alien forces control the main roads and government buildings, but they can't move safely at night. Our people own the darkness. Casualties, high on both sides. But our recruitment is actually increasing. Every alien attack creates new resistance fighters. Jake understood why this was happening. When aliens destroyed a human neighborhood, the survivors didn't flee to safety. They got angry and joined the fight. Human psychology worked backwards. From what the aliens expected, what about supplies? Better than expected. Civilians are donating everything they have. Food, medical supplies, a mew? 3 weeks after the invasion began, the aliens controlled 90% of Earth's surface. Their victory was complete in every military sense. Yet Commander Vexstar felt like he was losing the war. His forces held every major city, every strategic resource, and every important landmark on the planet. But they held them like someone holding a handful of fire. The cost of maintaining control was destroying his army piece by piece. Status report, Vexstar demanded during his morning briefing. We lost another 600 soldiers yesterday, reported his aide, mostly to suicide attacks and improvised explosives. Human resistance activity has increased by 12% over the past week. Vexstar's compound eyes studied the casualty reports. In 3 weeks of fighting, he had lost more troops than in his previous 20 conquests combined. And the humans showed no signs of slowing down. What about their supply situation? They appear to be manufacturing weapons and ammunition faster than we can destroy their production facilities. Every human community has become a weapons factory. This was the nightmare scenario that military strategists had warned about for centuries. The aliens were fighting an entire civilization, not just an army. Every human was a potential soldier, every building was a potential fortress, and every neighborhood was a potential battlefield. Captain Rick Davis had been leading resistance operations in the ruins of Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks. His makeshift army included soldiers, police officers, government workers, and ordinary citizens who had refused to evacuate when the aliens landed. Rick, called Dr. Sarah Williams, a scientist who had joined the resistance after aliens destroyed her laboratory. I've been studying the alien equipment we captured yesterday. Find anything useful? Their technology is definitely superior to ours, but it's designed for fighting conventional armies. They have shields that stop high-energy weapons, but they're vulnerable to low-tech attacks. What do you mean? Sarah held up a piece of alien armor that had been damaged by a simple pipe bomb. Their shields deflect laser beams and plasma bolts, but they don't stop physical objects moving at high speed. A thrown rock can penetrate their defenses. This discovery was spreading through the human resistance network. Aliens who were immune to Earth's most advanced weapons could be killed by teenagers with slingshots and homemade explosives. There's something else, Sarah continued. Their communication system is incredibly advanced, but it depends on their ships maintaining contact with each other. If we can isolate individual units, they become much less effective, Rick smiled grimly. This matched what resistance fighters had observed in street battles. Alien soldiers fought with perfect coordination when they could communicate with their command ships. But when that link was broken, they became confused and vulnerable. Get this information to every resistance cell in the city, Rick ordered. If we can't match their technology, we'll use our knowledge of the terrain against them. On the alien flagship, Dr. Veltara was preparing her final report on human psychology. What she had learned would shock the Confederation's leadership. Humans do not fight like any species we have encountered, she explained to Commander Vexstar. Most intelligent races fight to achieve specific goals: territory, resources, political control. Humans fight for concepts: freedom, dignity, the right to live as they choose. Concepts can be changed, Vexstar replied. We can educate them to accept our rule. No, sir, you don't understand. These concepts are not beliefs that humans hold. They are part of what humans are. Asking them to give up freedom is like asking them to give up breathing. Dr. Veltara showed Vexstar recordings of conversations with human prisoners. Even humans who had been captured and faced certain death refused to cooperate with their captors. This human, a construction worker named Bob Thompson, has been imprisoned for 10 days. We have offered him food, medical care, and safe passage off the planet. All he has to do is provide information about resistance activities in his neighborhood. And he told us to perform an anatomically impossible act upon ourselves. Vexstar did not understand the reference, but he understood the defiance. Even in captivity, facing torture and death, humans maintained their resistance. What about their children? Surely they will cooperate to protect their young? Dr. Veltara's expression grew even more troubled. The children are teaching each other to fight. Human parents are training their offspring to resist us. We found a group of children, ages 8 to 15, who had organized their own resistance. So, what were they doing? Gathering intelligence on our patrol routes, sabotaging our equipment, and preparing explosive devices. When we captured them, they tried to detonate a bomb rather than surrender. Vexstar felt a chill run through his insect body. The humans were not just fighting for their own generation. They were ensuring that future generations would continue the fight. Admiral, Zorkis was reaching the same conclusion from his analysis of military operations. The human resistance was not weakening over time. It was evolving, adapting, and becoming more effective. Sir, reported his intelligence officer, we've intercepted communications between human resistance groups. They're sharing tactical information and coordinating attacks across the entire planet. How is this possible? We destroyed their satellite networks and command centers. They're using methods we didn't anticipate. Radio networks, human messengers, even coded messages hidden in their entertainment broadcasts. Their communication system is actually more robust now than it was before the invasion. Zorkis studied the tactical display. Instead of the centralized, hierarchical resistance they had expected, humans had created a distributed network that was almost impossible to disrupt. What about their leadership? That's the most disturbing part, sir. They don't seem to need centralized leadership. Individual communities are organizing their own resistance operations. Local commanders are making strategic decisions without orders from higher authority. How can they coordinate without leadership? They all seem to understand the overall goal: make our occupation as costly as possible. Beyond that, they improvise based on local conditions. This was completely alien to the Confederation's way of thinking. Their military operations required detailed planning, clear command structures, and constant communication between units. The idea of soldiers making strategic decisions without orders was terrifying to them. Private Kevin Stone had been dead for a week, but his example was still inspiring resistance fighters across the planet. His sacrifice had become legendary among humans, proving that ordinary people could inflict serious damage on alien forces. The story of Kevin's final battle spread through the resistance network like wildfire. He had faced impossible odds, used improvised weapons, and died to protect people he had never met. For humans, this was the definition of heroism. For aliens, it was the definition of insanity. Lieutenant Colonel Jake Harrison received a message that changed everything. Dr. Helen Price, working with captured alien technology, had made a breakthrough that could turn the tide of the war. Jake, Helen's voice crackled over the radio. We figured out how their faster-than-light communication works. If we can build a transmitter, we can send a message to other alien species in the galaxy. What kind of message? A warning. We Tell them what happened when the Confederation attacked Earth. We let them know that humans are now aware of alien civilizations and are developing new weapons specifically designed to fight them. Jake understood immediately. The aliens had made a critical error by attacking Earth. They had revealed themselves to a species that specialized in warfare and never forgot an enemy. How long to build the transmitter? 2 weeks, maybe 3. But Jake, there's something else. We've been analyzing their technology, and I think we can reverse engineer their weapons. We could build ships capable of interstellar travel. How long for that? Years, maybe decades. But the important thing is that it's possible. The aliens have given us the key to leaving our solar system. This was the nightmare scenario that Dr. Veltara had predicted. By attacking Earth, the aliens had not only failed to eliminate humanity as a threat, they had accelerated human technological development and given humans a reason to spread across the galaxy. Commander Vextar called an emergency meeting with his entire command staff. The decision they made would determine the fate of both species. Gentlemen, Vextar began, we have 3 options. First, we can continue the occupation indefinitely, accepting massive ongoing casualties while the humans develop better weapons. Second, we can use orbital bombardment to destroy all human life, rendering the planet uninhabitable. Third, we can withdraw and hope that humans are too focused on rebuilding to seek revenge. All 3 options are unacceptable, Admiral Zorkas said bluntly. If we stay, we lose our army piece by piece. If we destroy the planet, we lose the resources we came here to claim. If we withdraw, we show weakness to every species in the galaxy. Then what do you suggest? Zorkas was quiet for a long moment. I suggest we admit that we made a terrible mistake. We attacked a species we did not understand, and now we must live with the consequences, Dr. Veltara spoke up. There is a 4th option. We could try to negotiate with the humans. Negotiate what? Vextar asked. They will never accept our rule. They have made that clear. Not, sir.